Hello, friends. We're back again. It's Fightful.com, and it's time for your Impact Wrestling post show. You know who I am, but you know who she is? That's Cresta Starr. Cresta, how are you doing tonight?
Hey, Joel. I'm doing fantastic. Matey. What's going on with you? How are you feeling? How's everything?
I love the pirate look. I am absolutely a fan. What's the deal with the? I thought there was like a logo on the headband. Is that just the? Is that just the design? The
So
flower?
this is just a flower, but everyone confuses it. I'm going to preface and say I'm a professional Naruto hater. That being said, people confuse it with some Naruto clan. I don't know the name. Please don't. I mean, you could roast me, and this is going to be me. I don't care. So, yes, but it's just a flower. My grandma got it from St. Thomas. It's really nice. It's comfy. I love this. It's lovely.
It's nice. It's also nice when y'all, go ahead and leave us a thumbs up here on Fightful.com here on this post show. And if you really want to get involved in the conversation, first of all, chat, how you doing? It's good to see you. Second of all, if y'all want, you can leave a super chat. It's that little $sign down below where you can donate any amount, get your question or statement around the air, and also support us here at Fightful. Allow Cresta and I to keep doing these post-impact shows for y'all because I know you're enjoying them. I know you're enjoying them. Are you enjoying them as much as we are? Because we're having a good time. People christened us Team Joestar last week. So clearly someone likes us. Right?
I love us. I don't know if it was Joel Starr. Either way, I'm here for it. They've shipped us. That means we're official tissue.
I think it's in. I don't think we're going anywhere. I mean, we could physically go somewhere, but I don't think you and I are going anywhere in terms of doing this show or not. I think we're going to keep doing it because people are enjoying it and people are enjoying interacting with us here. Which, by the way, you can get your Humper Chats in at humperchats.com. Cresta, tell them about the Humper Chats, would you please?
Humper Chats, you can send us you can send us a tip over at humperchats.com. We keep a little bit more and it helps us do this, and we will read it live on air and we will answer your questions or your comments live on air again. So humperchat.com or right here at the bottom with the $sign.
There is so much going on, not only on the website, but also in the Impact world. First of all, we had the show tonight. Tomorrow night, Friday night, is Impact Against All Odds. For those who are wondering, we're not going to be doing a post show for Against All Odds because of the nature of it being on the Friday night, and that would go up against both the SmackDown and the AEW Rampage review and the free view of Alex Pulaski's Sour Graps, which would normally be on Select, but instead they're doing a free view. So that's just more benefit for you over on Fightful. However, if you are a Fightful Select subscriber, I'm 99% sure that Steven Jensen will cover Against All Odds on his Weekender podcast. So keep it peeled for that. And of course, we're all going to talk about it, aren't we? It'll be fun. And by the way, if you're going to be watching Money in the Bank, or maybe you're not, but you want to keep an eye on what's going on with WWE's Money in the Bank post show, Denise Salcedo and Sean Ross Sapp will have you covered. Cresta, did you know they're going to be live after Money in the Bank together for the first time ever doing a post show?
The superpowers have united, and you know who wins? We all do.
The fans
I love this
win.
timeline.
There'll be a Blue Wire studio, so that's going to be a good time. I'm looking forward to that. But we're not talking about Money in the Bank. That's Saturday. That's in the future. We're going to talk about Against All Odds. We'll run down the card at the end of the show, give our predictions, and do that stuff. But first, let's talk about this episode of Impact Wrestling for June 30th. It took me a full 3.5 minutes to tell you the date on this whole thing for the timestamp. That's just what we do. Cresta, what did you think of tonight's show? Was it a favorite of yours or no?
I like that it gave me the wham bam boozle in one match, but overall I thought it was a good setup for Against All Odds tomorrow. I cannot wait. There's a lot of impact, but I thought tonight 4 out of 5. If we're doing 5 out of 5, 4 out of 5. It wasn't like crazy, but it was good. It was solid, top to bottom. It was solid. Impact has been really solid.
Yeah, it's weird saying that this is a go-home show for Against All Odds, considering we just had Slammiversary, and here we are less than 2 weeks later. We're doing another go-home, quote-unquote, for an Insider show. But all in all, I agree with you. I'd say a 4 out of 5 is a pretty solid mark. That main event, I thought, was fantastic. I'm a big fan, and we'll talk about it later, big fan of Impact doing Kazarian versus Sabin one more time and saying, we didn't get a winner last time, so you guys deserve an actual factual winner. Big fan of that.
I loved it. I always see Chris Sabin kind of like the dad next door who wrestles, and Frankie Kazarian is the right amount of uncle, and it was fantastic. They matched each other, flight for flight, grapple for grapple. It was such a good match, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll go through it. It was a really, really fun match. We'll talk about it soon. I'll ask you like I ask you every single week. Did you watch BTI?
This time I have a legitimate excuse.
This
But
time.
Every time I say you are beautiful, I just want to remind you of that in this moment.
Are you trying to tell me that all the other times you said I was beautiful, you were lying to my face to get out of the question? What were you watching on BTI?
Who said that? Who said that? Who's saying that? And I will. Who?
What are we doing here? What is going on?
I would love if you told me, though. I just love to hear you talk.
Of course. Digital Media Championship was on the line. Rich Swann versus Raj Singh with Sheer in his corner. Now, normally we just kind of breeze through it, but it actually ended up having some against all odds implications because Brian Myers came out, cut a promo early and said that he respects Rich Swann now, and that Swann earned Myers' respect after the match at Slammiversary, and that he's a fan, so he's going to sit ringside, watch the match, had a microphone with him the whole time, commentating over it. There was some really funny stuff. I mean, Tom Hannafin at one point was like telling Matt Raywell to shut up so that he could listen to Brian Myers talk to the crowd. Some good stuff. So Rich Swann wins the match against Raj Singh. No surprise there. But then Myers gets in, hits his roster cut move, and then challenges Swann to a rematch at Against All Odds tomorrow night. And they call it a combat match.
That's clever. That's a clever play on words, and I love it. But they didn't explain how that's going to be any different than a regular match. So we'll see how that plays out tomorrow. That'll be interesting.
I gotta assume it's like some sort of street fight, but the problem with that is they're also running that Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. I'm gonna stumble over that 30 more times tonight, but they're running that match too. So how much plunder can you have on this show?
This is Impact, baby.
That's true.
That's my answer. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, this is Impact. They gonna do it.
I'll enjoy it. Anyway, the show itself, Impact opens up. They're backstage. It's the Good Brothers and James Storm. They're saying that the Briscoes are out for Against All Odds. James Storm, for some reason, goes over and asks PCO to join and says that, Honor No More was going to kick you out. And then Vincent steps in and he says, no, PCO is with Honor No More. And later tonight, it's the Good Brothers versus Vincent and PCO, which later on I would discover was for the tag titles. And I had no idea until I saw the referee hold up those tag titles. But either way, that's how we open up the show. And then they go directly into an X Division Fatal 4-Way. It's Steve Maclin, Trey Miguel, Chris Bay, and Laredo Kid, with the winner taking on Speedball Mike Bailey at Against All Odds. So Trey Miguel, we'll just get it right out of the way. Trey Miguel gets the win. Great match, fun 4-way opener, and just so much fun stuff. If you want to talk about that match real quick, by all means, let's get into it.
Got you. I want to first and foremost say that X Division matches opening every Impact, I'm here for it. Every pay-per-view, I'm here for it. It's a nice high flyer, high speed. There was one spot in particular where Chris Bay was getting ready to do a somersault, and I think Laredo Kid swung right through him and like a 10-pace was here and hit these three guys, and then Chris Bay hit this incredible moonsault onto the other guys. Now, personally speaking, I thought Trey Miguel would have already been qualified to beat Mike Bailey, but I'm like, but they settled that at Slammiversary. But it's nice to see him get a run back. I'm also a Chris Bay apologist, so I would have loved to see Chris Bay be involved in that conversation, because I don't know. I know how the Bullet Club rolls. I don't like it when he loses, because every time you lose, I'm like, the Bullet Club about to kick you out. They kick people out for less.
Do you really think they kick out Chris Bay just for that?
They kicked out Tamatonga.
I mean, listen, you can call him Tamatonga. What's he going to do? Is he going to correct you and call himself Tama? What's he going to do?
I don't want to get beat up, so that's you.
Okay. Really good match. You mentioned the Asai moonsault from Chris Bay, taking out all three men, and then Trey hitting that Meteora on Chris Bay and then getting the three. Like you said, Chris Bay, he suffers the 3 fall to Trey Miguel. Mm-hmm. There's one little thing, and I know we talk about production stuff once in a while. One little thing that I actually really liked. They're showing Mike Bailey backstage watching the match on the screens. At one point, they go to the backstage to show Bailey's reaction, and the audio, they change the audio that it sounds like it's coming from the TV. So It's very like the mids are boosted. There's no bass or treble. It's just the mids. And then they transition back into the to what's going on in the arena, and the sound goes back to being full. I really like that touch. It's a really small touch, but it looks really good, sounds really good to me. Just a solid X Division match with stuff that made sense. Maclin is my only wild card. I need to know what we're doing with him next. Are we gonna just wait on it until Bound for Glory? What are we doing with Steve Maclin?
I agree with that. Partially going into this, I was like, okay, maybe Trey Miguel wins. It would be nice. I want Chris Bay to win, but then I was like, oh, Maclin's in this. There's no way. Like, I would assume. And then when he didn't win, like, okay, you didn't eat the pin, but still, like, what are we going to do with him? Because while he's great and all, I really feel like he should be in the main event, the world title scene. That's where I really feel he belongs. But I understand if they want to finish up with Alexander and Violent by Design. But he really, to me, he needs to be there.
I have seen so much of Violent by Design over the last few weeks. That's all I'm going to say. I have seen a lot of them over the last couple of weeks. Those who are in Toronto or in Ontario, they'll know. By the way, thank you, chat. You did point out that the Dot Combat match is it's basically a match where it's a street fight style match, but you can only beat each other up with things like keyboard and a mouse and things that are technological in nature. So the look on your face, Cresta, shows me you are super excited for that.
All I could think of when you said that was like, you remember those old beat 'em up arcades?
Boy, howdy. Does it count? Can we use them?
That's exactly what I'm thinking of. I love Impact Wrestling. Professional wrestling is a gift.
That's one way to put it. I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun. They did it with Cardona and Jordynne Grace, apparently. So there you go. It's not the first time they've run the Dot Combat match. I did not remember it because that Digital Media Championship is just it exists. That's it. But you know who also exists? It's Raven. So I'm a big Raven fan. Loved him in ECW. Loved him in WCW. One of my favorite angles with Raven is when he was lost and trying to find himself, and you found out that Raven was actually a rich kid living with his rich mom. It was one of my favorite things from WCW. And then Canyon was his best friend. All this stuff. People, if you haven't seen it,
better than Canyon?
Nobody, 100%. So anyway, but then Raven in TNA was a whole other beast. It was more like his Ring of Honor, more like his ECW self, and no different here. A much older Raven introducing the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match. I got it right this time. He's in a playground with a bunch of kids. He's talking about the match. He says everyone's going to have fun, especially Moose and Sammy, and then says, I hope everyone gets hurt. This was such a really simple, easy promo, but it was so good in my opinion.
Even if you have blips of memories of Raven, he gave you all the hits. He had the hair, he had the piercing. All he was missing was the flannel around his neck. He gave you like, listen, this is going to be fun and violent, but it's going to be fun. And we know how Raven defines fun. That gave me a glimpse. If I was just watching this for the first time and I'm looking forward to that match, I already have an idea of how that's going to be. That's going to be a rough one for me personally, because I'm squeamish, but
when we talk about the Against All Odds card and we run it down, Raven is going to be there at the show. He's going to be in on that match. We're going to talk about whether or not he gets involved and what we can expect from him, because I love it. Raven is great.
He's good. He's great.
Yeah. Giselle Shaw took on Rosemary with the influence on commentary. This match was fine. It actually got really good at the end. Really enjoyed Giselle going for a 2 sweets before the or mid-match. She goes out and she's just like, and then everyone's just like, what are you doing? Why are you
Madison Rain is like, what are you doing?
This is the wrong one. It was very funny. And the influence kept talking on commentary about Madison Rain's broken nose, and they're going after Tom Hannafin, telling him to be less honest. But there are certain things in this match that were great. Giselle hits a great looking cutter. I do like that her running knee continues to put people out. All in all, just a solid match. And we can talk about the post-match too. What do you think about the match itself?
So I'd never seen Giselle Shaw wrestle. So I go into this match with a blank slate, and I'm like, okay, I was expecting one thing. I was expecting Rosemary to beat her up and these girls to help her cheat, but not really. But when she did it and the moves were, I'm like, okay, Giselle Shaw, you're on it. But then when she started doing the 2 sweet and all that stuff, like you had said, like, girl, look, you're a clown, and I'm here for it. Afterwards, when they got the win with the distraction from the influence, and she like really pinned Rosemary, I was like, what the heck? And now I'm way more interested. I'm like, I want to see what happens. And then the post match, I don't know if you want to explain it or if you want me to go into it, but like, I was like, the post match when they tried to summon Havoc, I was like,
we'll get to that in a minute. You can just get into it now. You know what? Forget it. Yeah, talk about it. So Father James Mitchell shows up. They summon him from a ring from the occult bag of Ty and Rosemary. Go ahead. Talk about it.
So they're like, yo, I know these girls are finna cheat, especially Madison Rae. So we need to get Havoc back. He's like, Havoc's gone, bro. Like, what are you?
I haven't seen her.
Like, I can't just make Havoc appear. And Ty and these girls are like, what are we gonna do? Rosemary's like, we're gonna get Havoc back. And that's how you solve what do we do with Havoc. I would love to see a trios match, especially because I don't know if Madison Rain is hurt or if she's hurt. You know what I mean? So what are your thoughts on that?
I think she's hurt, and for the audio listeners, I'm throwing up the air quotes. A six-woman tag is probably where we're going with it, and that's fine. That backstage with Rosemary and Taya and Father James Mitchell is hilarious. He comes out and he says, I have 2 words to describe you, Rosemary. The second one is blocker. And he says he was about to have a 3-way with a Jezebel and a Siren because he's never had that experience before. Love it. So silly, so ridiculous. And then it says I can deliver a message to Havoc, no problem. And Rosemary says all hands on deck. Is this what you expected for Havoc's like reemergence? Because we talked about this. We talked about Havoc being like, oh, you're Knockouts tag champions now. What about me? Will they be on the same page? Like, what's the reintroduction? What does it look like?
I think Havoc would be okay and ecstatic for Rosemary, but looking at Ty is like, this again? You know what I mean? And to bring it back to Father Mitchell, I'm surprised Johnny Swinger didn't hear that and come out of the woodworks. It's like, what's going on? I know that's your favorite guy. Later. You are rooting for him.
We'll talk about the swing man later. How's that? I think we will. Absolutely. But yeah, so I feel like it'll be the reintroduction of Havoc, and then she'll be like, hey, what is this?
Yeah.
Like, you're Knockouts tag champs now, and I wasn't here for that. Like, that's probably where we're gonna go, because they have to do something to reintroduce Havoc and regain whatever she lost, right?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, absolutely. And then it's one of those things like, do you keep all 3 of them together? A trios thing? I don't think I think it'll eventually lead to Havoc versus Taya, which I'm all here for.
Yeah.
So however that gets there, I have full trust in Impact Wrestling to deliver my sports entertainment.
We're backstage with Mickie James, and Mickie says that she's defeated Deonna over and over and over again, and that Chelsea Green has only had the upper hand when Matt Cardona was involved, of course, her husband. And then Deonna and Chelsea walk in. They say Mickie should think of people other than herself, and then they do a beatdown quickly. Mickie beats down Deonna and Chelsea. Then the numbers advantage. Then Mia Yim pops in, finishes the job. They fist bump, and then that's it. Anything to add on a segment like that, just setting up the tag match for Against All Odds that I told you was happening, by the way?
You did. You added me, you tagged me, and I was like, I'm a believer. Nothing really to add except maybe trying to sow the seeds of, can Mickie James work with someone? Because she was like, I'm just going to hit you anyway. And then a wild Mia Yim appeared. But I don't know. I know I'm going to be entertained. I'm the winner. It's me. I'm the winner, the fan.
The Queen Stooges taking on Mia Yim and Mickie James. I'm sure Sean Ross Sapp will be very excited for that match. Queen Stooge number 1, Queen Stooge number 2 or 3. I can't remember which one they are. But I'll tell you who's not a Queen Stooge. That's Savannah Evans. So Savannah Evans with Tasha Steele take on Jordynne Grace in a match that was big, meaty women slapping meat. And I know you were excited for this match. There was some really gnarly and fun offense. Tell me, because I want you to shine on this one. You loved this match. I know it.
So I really like Savannah Evans really putting on a good show with Jordynne Grace. She got a lot of offense in early, but that, and it's not a package, it's the muscle buster she gave her at the end. Oh, because Savannah Evans is a big woman in comparison. She picked that big woman up, and Jordynne Grace is a god. I took that my notes right quick when she really I cannot express to you when Savannah Evans had Jordynne Grace in the chokehold in the beginning. I was like, wow, Savannah Evans is really taking it to Jordynne Grace. Even if she doesn't win, she's trying to soften her up for Tasha Steelz tomorrow because that's her friend. But I don't know how you beat Jordynne Grace at this point. And if I'm Tasha Steelz, I'm like, I really got to cheat.
That muscle buster was nuts. I was a big fan of that from the top. And on top of that, the choke slam from Savannah Evans on the outside on the apron to Jordynne Grace looked gnarly. It did everything it was supposed to do. The match itself was quick. It was painful for them, but painless for us to sit through. Really good match between Evans and Grace, and sets up Tasha versus Jordynne Grace tomorrow night at Against All Odds. A really just solid match. I enjoyed it.
I agree. That's a good match. I feel bad for Tasha Steelz. Like, you really got to change your game plan for tomorrow.
Yeah, that's going to be the question: is how do you take on Jordynne Grace if you're Tasha Steelz? What changes this time?
I don't know. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just saying it's going to be interesting.
Agreed.
Let's talk about this Joe Doering promo. So I'll preface this with Impact got fewer words out of Joe Doering in this promo than I did when I spoke with Joe Doering last. Joe Doering is a man of few words, but he'll talk to you if you give him some time, but not in this promo. They talk about his background with All Japan Pro Wrestling and his accolades. He's won tag titles. He's won the Triple Crown Championship in All Japan. It was just a really solid promo, putting over Joe Doering as a championship contender, but also as a big monster guy. Talk to me. What do you think about this promo?
It was a great reminder or a refresher for people who may not be familiar with Joe Doering before Violent by Design. It's easy to get wrapped up where he's following Eric Young. Like, this man is not a big, beefy man with his accolades and all. The New Japan Pro Wrestling, I think it was a Triple Crown. I could be wrong.
All Japan Triple Crown champion.
Thank you. All Japan Triple Crown. That's a lot.
It is.
But it's like to show him in that capacity. So it's like, wow, no, it's not just a throwaway match for Eric Young to run in. He really could lose. And he does have that pin over Alexander. Well, not a pin. It was by disqualification. Yep. But he does have that win over the champion. So I think it built great. I don't think he's going to win, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. But it really puts credibility that if he does, let's say it's a big old swerve and he does, you're like, well, you can't take it away from him. He's done this, and this. It's just funny how that's going to coexist with Eric Young or whatever the case may be. What do you think about it and whatnot?
I think that if you want your accolades met, and if you want if you want to be reminded as to why you're a great human being, here's Blue Chew.
Hello. Is your penis limp? Would you like it to be erect? Fortunately, BlueChew.com and the code FIGHTFUL is going to help you out an awful lot. Maybe you're having trouble with that. Maybe you just want the confidence. Well, BlueChew.com and the code FIGHTFUL is right for you. Free. Your first order is free. You just pay $5 shipping. There are a few other steps you go through. You consult with the online physician. If approved, it ships straight to your door in a discreet package. But your first shipment is free with the code FIGHTFUL. It's got the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis, so you know they work, but they work on your schedule or whenever you're not ready and you want to be ready, whenever the mood arises. It's in a chewable form, very easy, very simple. Help yourself out. Give yourself that confidence with BlueChew.com and the code FIGHTFUL.
Everybody congratulate Cresta Starr on her first Blue Chew ad here on Fightful. I saw the look on your face. We can see backstage our reactions to things that are on the screen. And I watched Cresta be like, what the
I thought you were playing a meme video. I was like, wait, are we getting hacked? What's happened? Oh, it is an ad. There was many emotions.
If you want it, you get it. With Blue Chew. Thank you, Sean, for the run-in. So that Joe Doering promo definitely got a bunch of people hard, but the Josh Alexander interview that came afterwards may have gotten you a little bit harder. Talks about being a fan of Impact, winning, retaining his title at Slammiversary, but he puts over Joe Doering, as he should, says it'll be his toughest match, but he can't back down from a challenge like that. But he leaves us with this. When could Eric Young show up again? So I ask you, Cresta Starr, when does Eric Young show up again?
I would hope at Against All Odds, because Alexander also said a good point. He's like, I don't even know if they have spoken to Young. So is Young MIA? Is Young orchestrating it? And if, let's say, Young is MIA, he shows up not at Against All Odds, but what's the one after Against All Odds?
Emergence in August.
What if he shows up at Emergence? That's a long time, but it can set up a lot of storyline, and it can say like, hey, what do you guys do? What happened to Eric Young? This guy is doing, Alexander done stepped on the both of your lackeys. Where are you? Is Violent by Design there? I would hope that he shows up tomorrow, but there are great storylines either way. Again, I think Alexander's going to retain here. It's going to be a good match either way, but it would be interesting either way if Young doesn't show up. Do you think he shows up tomorrow?
No, I don't. I think they're going to tease him showing up, but ultimately Josh Alexander beats Joe Doering, and that's it. They could go another non-finish route just to keep Doering, unbeaten, but I don't see the reason to do it. We've talked about that too. Joe Doering having a big win streak is a big deal. So to keep that going for the right person to beat him, that's where I think it needs to go. I don't know if Josh is the right guy to do it, though. Is he the right guy to beat Joe Doering, who's on, this big win streak?
I mean, he could, but he don't need it. You know what I mean? You could use that win streak to elevate a Maclin, who already is good in its own. He's already good in his own right, but it could propel him to the, well, now you can face Josh Alexander status. I mean, to me it's fine, but I don't think Alexander really needs it. He's burning bright. He's a really good bright beacon for the company right now. I don't think he needs to do that to prove anything. I would preserve it. I say if he doesn't run in, then Diener runs out to cause the DQ, like you said, to keep the streak alive, but also Alexander still retains. But I could see it, but I don't think he needs it.
Yeah, I get you. Reminder, folks, get in your super chats, get in your humper chats, get your question statement around the air. We'll talk about whatever y'all want to talk about, especially if it's Impact related. Honor No More versus Good Brothers for the tag titles. PCO and Vincent representing Honor No More, but they all come out because why not? Again, I was like, tag titles are on the line. Okay, this is fine. James Storm comes out with the Good Brothers, so at least you got some sort of balance there. And a solid match. It was fine. There's something that I always remember, and it's death, taxes, and Carl Anderson hits a spine buster before hitting a hot tag to Doc Gallows.
You're the best.
It's true. The match was fine. Listen, Good Brothers retain. It's a roll-up finish from Carl Anderson to Vincent, and PCO broke up a Magic Killer. It was fine. It was good stuff. It's more the post-match stuff that got me going. Do you want to talk about some post-match shenanigans?
Turns and looks at notes because she is not too smart.
people run into the ring. People attack other people.
Yes, now I remember. Thank you for the refresher. So at the end, I'm like, first of all, I walked away for 2 seconds. Like, let me just go do my winged eyeliner. And I come back and it's like the Good Brothers retain. I'm like, what happened? Wait a minute. When I left, PCO was working over Carl Anderson, and before I know it, the match is over. Everyone runs down. They start beating them up. And then Chris Harris runs down. I'm like, James Storm, as much as he loves you, he's also going to wring your neck. They don't want you to get hurt, bro. What about your family? But we knew it was coming. Then Heath came down. And I was like, is Rhino going to come down too? Or is Chris going to be the fifth guy? And we got our answer next segment. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it was really interesting because even Honor No More was like, what are you doing? Didn't they tell you to stay in a retirement home? What about your family? So I was surprised that it's not surprised that it's happening, but the way they've been keeping him off, especially after last week when he let them beat him up and didn't run down, I'm surprised he came out this time. And I'm like, well, we're getting it. We're going to get him for the fifth man for Against All Odds.
So I said it last week and I'll say it again. In pro wrestling, when they hit you over the head with something enough times, you can pretty much assume that it's going to happen the way that they're pushing, or the opposite direction. It's saying Chris Harris made a promise to his family, he's not going to get involved, or Chris Harris has had his last match and and it's like, okay, so Chris Harris is going to be part of this match.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to be great. And that's fine. I did like the way he gets involved. I like the way that they actually brought out Heath, and Heath came in to make the save as Honor No More was about to beat up Chris Harris. He brings the pipes, gives one to Chris Harris. They even out the odds. The attack goes down. I was a big fan of that. And then they go to the back, and Chris Harris is like, I'm in. And then Heath is like, I'm in too. And then James Storm, he's like, I'm checking on my brother. I want to make sure. Chris Harris says he's well. He's physically and mentally ready. And that the moment is now. Chris Harris is in. He's going to be part of that 10-man tag. And so is Heath. But that doesn't really matter because, it's Heath. Compared to Chris Harris and America's Most Wanted having a match in 2022, which is wild to me. And I'm very excited for that. Anything else to add? I can tell you, I'm a little down that the Briscoes are out, but if they're going to be replaced by these guys, I'm fine for the nostalgia pop.
So I did a little research during the commercial about Chris Harris and why he stopped wrestling and retired. So not knowing anything about him and knowing stuff about him now, it's like, bro, I hope you are safe, but they wouldn't say yes if he couldn't. So I understand why everyone's like, bro. So I'm hoping that this is a really good match, which it most likely will be, but I don't know if he does something long-term or this is, I'm going to do one thing with my buddy, America's Most Wanted. Sorry about your damn luck. And then that's going to be it. I'm just going to be maybe meddling, interfering like a Maria Kanellis. I'm hopping on the apron to be a piece of crap. So like, I hope that this is like a good hurrah for him. But after reading about all the things that he went through, I was like, I really hope he's okay. So I get it. It's a good way to pull at people's heartstrings. So I'm heavily invested now.
Yeah, and his involvement, I mean, listen, we're not expecting much. I don't think anyone's expecting him to get in and pull the full 30 minutes or be the guy that they make. Yeah, he's not going to do anything huge, but it's fine. We're there mostly to see America's Most Wanted one last time come out together, look good together, yada yada yada. He'll hit a couple spots, he'll take a soft bump or two, and then that'll be that. He'll be very straightforward, very simple, but it'll just be nice to see Chris Harris have what might be just his last hurrah, especially with Impact. I'm looking forward to it. We'll talk about it when we get to the card and we give our predictions. Let's talk about Ace Austin with Chris Bay taking on Alex Zayne. I really enjoyed this match. I really enjoyed commentary, by the way, putting over how close Ace Austin and Alex Zayne got when they were in Japan doing Best of the Super Juniors. They're talking about they would go out drinking together, they would go out eating together, they would hang out together, they were posting all over socials, It's a really good story for them to tell. And the match itself was just a blast. You might even call it a Baja Blast. Huh?
I respect you as a human being.
Y'all can leave a thumbs up for that one.
I give you a thumbs up. I mean, I respect you. I thought the match was great. The note I wrote when he came down with Chris Bay, I was like, time to cheat, because I already knew where this was going. I like seeing sorry, I had to look at this man's name. Alex Zayne. I didn't want to say the wrong name. I liked watching Alex Zayne and how, like you said, they built in New Japan. It's the typical story of fair weather friends. Hey, you're new. I'm new. They're banking on our downfall. And in typical Ace Austin fashion, if he has a chance to screw you, guess what's happening? Yep. So, I mean, hopefully it opened up people who may or may not have seen Alex Zayne before to be like, hey, now I see who this person is, because I had never watched him wrestle before either, and I'm thoroughly a fan now. Now I'm gonna go follow this man on Twitter.com.
Absolutely, and he's sponsored by Taco Bell, so he's definitely worth it. Even Taco Bell Japan follows Alex Zayne. That's pretty wild. I'm down for that.
He's the guy.
So, by the way, Alex Zayne has the ugliest at the same time most beautiful Frankensteiner that he hits on Ace Austin in this match. It's right smack dab in the middle where he grabs the bottom rope just to get it, and it's because Zayne is just tall and lanky. That's just his build, and just the way he gets it. It looks ugly, but it ends up looking really good. Go back and watch that. And I put over the Baja Blast. It's actually a really good move. He does hit it in the match. And then Ace Austin later on hits a second rope turnaround kick to the face. That was a money shot. It looked really good.
That looked
but like
brutal.
you said, Chris Bay gets involved, of course, at the end. Zayne goes for the moonsault, hits both Bay and Austin, rolls Ace back in the ring to go for the pin, but Bay holds him Zayne gets held back long enough to get hit with the fold from Ace Austin. Ace Austin gets the win over Alex Zayne. He's a good dude, though. He was that was a good match. I enjoyed both men quite a lot.
I don't think we see another match out of this. I think this was the I would like to, because it was a good match. It was a fun little match. Maybe they might do a run back, but I don't think that happens. Do you think another match after this happens?
I can see them doing a tag match if Zayne gets a partner and then they take on Ace of Base, as I like to call them.
That's funny. I had to think about it. BEYSS, base.
Yeah, you got it.
10 out of 10. I like that one better than Baja Blast. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, well, that's what we get. I could see them doing a tag match with Ace and Bay versus Zayne and who knows? They could pick who knows? You could do it with you could do it with Speedball. Have Speedball and Zayne get involved, and then eventually do some sort of X Division melee between those 4 individuals. I think that would make a lot of sense.
That'd be cute. Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, there's plenty of time. And plus, they tape so much in bulk. Like, I'm seeing that Alex Zayne is back in Japan, and that's great. I mean, I'm happy he's working. They do it again. They can do it down the line. They could do it around in Chicago in August or whenever it is. So I'm very excited to see if they go back to it, or if they just let it sit because it started in Japan. Then maybe they're just going to end it here in Impact, and that's it. But
I'd be with it. I also thought that maybe they might do a Juice Robinson, but I think he's still injured. So
whatever they're doing with Juice, they're surrounding the IWGP US Heavyweight Championship. I don't know if Juice is going to show up in Impact because I feel like they're just trying to still do. I've made this joke and I kind of meant it. I think the original plan for Forbidden Door was going to be Juice versus Orange Cassidy in a match that was going to be Orange versus Juice, Orange Juice, yada yada. Yeah.
That was you who said that on TV. No, that's so good. That's so good. I would have watched that. 10 out of 10. That would have been so funny.
And I think that's a match that they wanted to do, but of course, because there was they did the appendicitis angle, and then they stripped him of This is Juice. They stripped the US Heavyweight Championship off of. Will Ospreay won it at Dominion. Now Will doesn't have the championship, but he's the title holder. Sounds a little bit like what happened at Slammiversary with Rich Swann and Brian Myers. Similar situation, but now Juice just has the title, but he's not the champion. I think they're just going to try and go back to Will Ospreay versus Juice and figure out what that's about.
Okay.
Anyway, I would love to see Juice back in Impact, though.
Yeah.
He had a really good showing, especially when he was with David Finlay. But now it's different because he got a Bullet Club Juice involved in the fray. That's
true. And it'll be interesting to see how he interacts with the other Bullet Club members, Ace Austin and Chris Bay, once they're there, you know?
Yeah. And then those 2 guys weren't at Forbidden Door. They haven't been heavily involved in Bullet Club storylines so far, Bay and Ace.
Yeah.
So
that's true as well.
We'll see what they do. Main event time. This was the match that, holy crap, I said at the top of the show, big fan of letting them do it again because they didn't get a finish last time. Frankie Kazarian takes on Chris Sabin, the match of the future, today. This was the second time that they've run this match this year. They, of course, the whole match was based on a match 20 years ago. But this time when they ran it last time, Honor No More got involved and it ended the match early. Nobody won. It was a no contest. This time we got a finish, and it was a great match. Brian Hebner's last match. So he's retiring. That's Earl Hebner's son. So really nice to see them acknowledge him and wish him well on whatever he's doing next. The match, though, it was just good from start to finish. Really enjoyable stuff. There was no story to this per se, right? It was just a respect thing, and that's what we get at the end. No surprise, Chris Sabin wins. We'll talk about some of the moves in the middle, but all in all, just a solid match with a lot of really good movement, a lot of really good wrestling from these 2. Tell me what you thought about the match and what stood out to you.
Call me a scrub, but no surprise. I didn't know who was going to win either way. I really wanted Chris Sabin to win, but Frankie Kazarian is really good at professional wrestling. I don't know if you know that. Like, no matter if, I feel like Sabin excels when he goes higher, even though he can match you grapple for grapple. And while Kazarian is better on the mat, rather, it was nice to see each one coming to each person's level. And when he hit that man with the double cradle shock at the end, the first cradle shock, I thought it was over. And when Kazarian kicked, I was like, ain't no way, Kazarian's winning. That's it. Nobody kicks out of that. But it was it was really, really nice. Really nice is not the word I was trying to say.
Could you call it impactful?
Yes.
Good. Let's do that then.
Nah, it was really the match everywhere. The whole thing was good. Like I said, I didn't know who was going to win. I really wanted Chris Sabin to win because, like I said, he gives me big dad next door vibes who can wrestle. But Kazarian is really good at professional wrestling. Really good at professional wrestling.
They do a spot at the beginning where Chris Sabin is driving Kazarian's knee into the mat.
Mm-hmm.
And normally that move would be Kazarian driving Sabin's face into the mat, where he's got him by the knees to the face and then he kind of shoves him down.
Mm-hmm.
But they played it off as Sabin was using it against Kazarian, and I really like that. And again, I say it a million times, I'll say it again, a professional wrestler who is good at their craft knows to jump up when the cross body hits them to hit it and get that extra impact. That's what Kazarian did when Sabin went for the crossbody. Really big fan of that. There was a really good spot where Kazarian goes to the slingshot on the outside, but Sabin super kicks him on the way down and then hits a tornado DDT off the apron. Really good shit. They just did it. They just did the thing. Sabin getting hit with this like forced inside out slingshot cutter from Kazarian. So good. And then you talked about the cradle shocks. Just a solid match, a solid main event. When they were taping this, people were on their feet. They loved it. This was easily match of the night, probably a match of the month contender for some. And then they all respect each other, give each other hugs and handshakes, and we're out. Easy as that. Simple, and that's it. Do you have anything to add to that match?
I will say that it is impeccable and incredible that these men have this type of chemistry all these years later. If you even go back and watch 30 seconds of any point of any one of their matches right in the middle, you can see the parallels, and it's only gotten better. I think that the fight forever chants were warranted because I kind of didn't want that match to end. And I really like that they let it play out clean. No interference, nobody else. And they shook hands afterwards. Even if they did an angle, I feel like you didn't have to do all of that. So I'm glad they didn't. But the only angle I would want is them somehow fighting again.
Yeah, find a way. Just be like, there was a winner, best out of 3.
Yeah. Best of 5.
They don't even need a reason to do it. They just want, this is a respect thing. Let's just
Thursday.
fight again because we had fun. Yeah, it's Thursday. Let's go for it. I'm fine with that. So we got a show this Friday. It's tomorrow for those watching live. For those after the fact, it's Friday. It's Friday. It's July the 1st. For those who are the Canuck variety like myself, the Canadians out there, happy Canada Day. Against All Odds is tomorrow night, happening in Atlanta, Georgia. Let's talk about this card because we got the whole rundown. We found out about the Dot Combat match for the Digital Media Championship. It's Rich Swann versus Brian Myers. Do they do it again? Do they switch the titles, or is Rich Swann still going to be the Digital Media Champion who hasn't used Twitter since 2018?
I think Rich Swann keeps it just for that fact, for the meme. For the meme.
Let's find out.
Not for the meme.
Has Rich Swann tweeted since then? No. This is just going to keep happening. Has he liked anything? His last tweet was something with him and Willie Mack. It was Willie Mack wanting his first singles match. Willie Mack has since left Impact Wrestling. So
maybe he has a burner Twitter, and this is truly for the meme at this point.
He almost definitely does. I could just see Swann getting the win, and that's it, and we move on from Brian Myers.
Yeah.
They announced during the Ace Austin match that Ace of Base, Ace Austin, Chris Bay, they're going to take on the team of Motor City Machine Guns. It's Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin. That's a match that I was like shocked that they announced cold, and they have absolutely no reason to do it. I assume that something is going to come out of that. Some sort of storyline, but what are you thinking for Ace of Base versus Motor City Machine Guns?
I think Motor City Machine Guns is going to beat the ever-living crap out of Ace of Base, but Ace of Base is going to cheat and they're going to win. And that's probably, like you said, there's probably some sort of storyline, some sort of angle. It's going to be a good match, but I'm expecting a cheat finish or a screwy finish, and they'll be like, something at the end. What that something is, I don't know, because I'll be watching and finding out like the rest of us. But I hope it's that, because I, like you said, just so cold like that for these two, like, okay.
I see in the chat Dan, who does a lot of Impact stuff, saying that he can see it being I think he thinks it's going to be a number one contendership for the tag titles, which I could see. At that point, I kind of, I want Ace of Base versus Good Brothers.
Then Bullet Club v Bullet Club, finger poke of doom.
I kind of want something like that. And I want to see the Good Brothers put over Ace of Base and be like, you're the new Good Brothers here. And then Good Brothers leave. And that's it. Because listen, I like Motor City Machine Guns, but I don't want to see Motor City Machine Guns versus the Good Brothers. Like, I just don't. I don't care for Good Brothers tag matches unless Good Brothers want to work.
Okay, I see what you mean. No, I have to really think about what I was like. No, he's right. Nah. And it'd be interesting to see Bullet Club v Bullet Club. You're not wrong.
This is the one right here. Zach, the AEW mod, saying that bringing FTR to snatch those titles. I know Sean said that before. I can see it happening. I don't think it's going to happen, but FTR showing up in Impact would be an interesting take. What would you do? FTR and Briscoes again?
Took the words right out my mouth. I don't care how it happens. Give it to me. I need that. I need that.
FTR holding the Impact tag titles. That would be a coup. I'd like to see it. I don't know if they would ever do it, but I think I'd like to see it.
Just to be the belt collectors. I mean, FTR, now that I've gotten to really know them, strike me as the type of people, when we say we're the best, we're the best. I don't care if it's mom and pops. If there's a title to win, I'm taking that title. Because why? We're the best professional wrestlers in the world. We're the best tag team. I don't care. Fight me for it if you don't like it.
There you go. Speaking of belt collectors, the Knockouts tag titles are on the line. Rosemary and Taya, of course, being Taya Valkyrie, who holds literally every women's championship you can think of right now, including adding to her arsenal the XPW women's championship last weekend. So she's got, that's 4 belts now that she's holding at one time: MLW, Impact, XPW, and AAA. That's pretty gnarly. So her and Rosemary putting up the tag titles against Giselle, Shaw, and Tenille, forming the Influence. Looking forward to that, but I have a feeling we'll see the reemergence of Havoc or some sort of set up to bring back Havoc and do a big schmaz melee finish. What do you think?
I don't think the Influence wins, but like you said, I do think Havoc comes out. And in the event that the Influence do win, it's going to be some shenanigans. Yep. I think this match is going to be more angle. Like, they're going to put on a good match, but I think it's going to be more either post or angle match itself, with somehow Havoc being summoned from the depths.
I think Rosemary and Taya do retain.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of a schmaz finish, and then we set up to this 6-woman tag, whatever it's going to be. That'd be fine. Another women's tag match on the card. There's a lot of women's matches on the show, and that's going to be good because Chelsea Green and Deonna Purrazzo taking on Mia Yim and the returning Mickie James. This match feels like it's just a big show-off party for Mia Yim. That's kind of what I get from it. Do you have any thoughts? Do you know who's going to win this? What's on your mind?
I'm getting a Yim Mickie James win, and that match is going to be stiff.
Yeah, I think so too.
That is going to be a stiff match. The only way that match can get stiff is if you add Thunder Rosa to that. That's a stiff match right there, and I'm legitimately looking forward to that because every Mickie James in Impact is unlike any Mickie James you've ever seen, and that stiff.
Could you see Chelsea and Deonna stealing the victory by getting the pin on Mickie James here?
Oh, absolutely. Doing some shenanigans or somewhere where they cheat and incapacitate either one of them. And like you said, definitely pinning Mickie James. I could see it either way. I could see both of them winning. But I think eventually this is going to lead to Deonna versus Mickie again. I think that's eventually where it's going to head. I don't know if you agree.
It's not that I don't agree. I'm thinking about how earlier in the night, in that promo, that Chelsea and Deonna brought up a lot. They were trying to cause like some sort of rift, some sort of dissension with Mickie James and Mia Yim. They're saying, Mickie James talking about herself and nothing else. She's just more concerned about herself. Maybe there's a missed tag and Mickie ends up getting pinned because she didn't think of her partner and Mia not turning heel, but maybe we can get to a Mia versus Mickie match somewhere down the line instead, or some sort of feud with them. I feel like Chelsea and Deonna are eventually going to go for the Knockouts tag titles, but I don't know how you get there with this match unless they just win clean and that's it. Or they win clean and then Mia and Mickey split off and do their own thing.
I don't see Mia and Mickey staying a team. You know what I mean?
No, this is just
I don't
two
see
friends.
that.
Yeah, this is just not two friends, but two people who respect each other wanting to beat up the friends who are being dicks.
Yeah. Yeah, accurate. Best friend. She was at my wedding.
Best friends who are being dicks to other people.
I'm here for it. I love that.
Let's move on. The 10-man Honor No More versus America's Most Wanted, Good Brothers, and Heath. This is the Honor No More specialty. What are we doing? Who's going to win this match? Is this the moment for America's Most Wanted, the big win, or is Honor No More going to keep the crown? The 10-man tag crown.
I don't know if this is allowed, and please cut my mic if that's the case. Scott D'Amore, when Honor No More loses this again, say they have to break up, because this will be the second 5-man specialty that I think they either exploit Chris Harris, which I don't think James Storm is going to let that happen. That's not going to happen. I expect Honor No More to lose again. I do. And they might blame it on PCO and they start to implode. But at this point, like Honor No More, you can't keep saying, no one gives us a shot. No one gives us a shot. You've had a shot consistently for the past 3 weeks, and you fumble the bag every time. So
is this the beginning of them getting rid of PCO?
I mean, it's not PCO's fault. There's a lot of problems in that group. To blame it on PCO, who for all intents and purposes is an undead zombie back to life who feels no pain, you looking for a scapegoat. So even if you kick out PCO, then who's next? Then it's Vincent. Then, Eddie Edwards is now paranoid, because Eddie Edwards is good for the paranoia. So it's like, where does it start? But at the same time, it's like, how many weeks you going to come out and say you guys aren't given a fair shot? And it's exactly what Impact was. You guys literally cheat every match and still lose. Like, I like the people in it. I'm just over them as a group. I'm ready. I am ready to move on. My heart will go on. I don't know how you feel.
It feels like Honor No More should win this match because they kept losing since they lost the Slammiversary. They lost the tag title match. The 6-man, I think they won that 6-man from 2 weeks ago. Can't remember off the top of my head. It was the main event. It was the Briscoes match.
I think they
took out Mark Briscoe afterwards, but I can't remember if they actually won that match. Either way, it doesn't matter.
I'm over it. Like, go away.
For the sake of argument, let's say that they do lose this. That's 2 big pay-per-view, quote unquote, losses for Honor No More. But if it's PCO that costs his team again for a second time, then you can walk in to the TV tapings and kick out PCO.
True.
There you go. Bennett pinned Mark to win.
Yeah, I just read that
2 weeks ago. So Honor No More has kind of been 50-50 a little bit. So they could easily pick up the win and then move forward. But I think really there's more in them losing, giving America's Most Wanted and the Good Brothers, who are the tag champions, and Heath the feel-good moment, and then, kick out PCO the next week.
Yeah. And like I said, it's one of those things where it could be the beginning of the end, because there's a lot of people in there. I think seeing Matt Taven from when I saw him to now, I think he's gotten better. Same thing with Vincent. Kenny King, I think, is phenomenal. And Kenny King really, in my opinion, should kind of like be a single star. Yep. Eddie Edwards is always going to be there. So it's a nice change for him to do something where he's not like the heart and soul. So I get it. It's just like, again, for me, my gripe is after a while, you can't say you're not getting opportunities. And when you get them, even when you cheat, you fumble the bag. Something's got to give it. You always running down on Scott D'Amore like he did that. Y'all lost. Like, he didn't do that.
I'm interested. I think I'm more interested now in the match than I was even a week ago. Okay. So we'll see what happens. The X Division Championship on the line. Speedball Mike Bailey, the new champion, taking on Trey Miguel. I don't know about you, but I feel like this is the beginning of the Trey Miguel heel turn. It's got to be.
Oh yeah. We win as the fans, but there's no. If I'm Trey Miguel, there's no way I pin Speedball beforehand. He wins, and now I'm just losing. Now I'm just I can beat everyone else, but I can't beat this guy. Oh no.
Yeah. Trey just completely goes nuts, and then we'll see where it goes from there. But I think it's time for Trey to develop a bit of a mean streak. But Mike Bailey retaining makes perfect sense. It would be silly to have him lose that quick. Knockouts Championship. Jordynne Grace defends against Tasha Steelz. It's Tasha Steelz rematch. Jordynne Grace is the Knockouts champion. Again, would be surprised if Jordynne Grace dropped the title, but wouldn't mind seeing Tasha Steelz win.
I like Tasha Steelz. I don't think they should have taken the title off of her at Slammiversary. I understand. I get it. It's one of those things. It's like, okay, you try to rationale after it happens. But to play hot potato at that point, what was the point then of taking it off of her? I think Jordynne retains. Fair is wrestling. You know, we do things for less, you know? So, yeah. I mean, I think Grace retains. Maybe this is one of those things where Tasha really starts a spiral of there's no way, and I'm going to do it, and it just starts becoming a menace. Maybe she goes for the Knockouts tag team title. I don't know. But I would like her to retain. I would like her to take it from Grace, but I don't see it happen. I think Grace retains.
I think she does too. And I think really, we talked about this before, and I've said it on other shows. This is them, Impact, giving Jordynne Grace the Knockouts title to build the title for when Masha Slamovich comes after her. Mm-hmm. And that is something that I also need to see, because they did a few weeks of having Masha Slamovich do stuff, and now she hasn't been on TV. She wasn't on TV this week, and I'm just waiting for her to come back and start really doing a tear. I don't know when you do the Masha Slamovich versus Jordynne Grace, for all intents and purposes, Knockouts championship match, but when it happens, it feels like that's going to be the crowning moment for Masha.
No, I agree. I totally agree. Maybe you have Grace versus Evans another time, maybe against Taya one other time. Somebody who's like, okay, even if it's not for a title, it's like, okay, whatever, Grace is that girl. So when Masha comes, and if she does what she did to Havoc, it's going to be like, who's going to beat this woman?
Get ready for 6 months of Jordynne Grace versus Tenille Dashwood.
Don't joke like that.
I'm fine with Tenille doing the Knockouts tag stuff. I think she's entertaining as hell. I just don't think she should be going for the Knockouts title. No, God, no. In the Clockwork Orange House of Fun match, I got it right that time too. Raven's gonna be there, and I'm so stoked. Raven will be there. It'll be Moose versus Sami Callihan. Does Moose even up the series? Does Raven side with Moose?
I didn't even think of that, because I'm thinking Raven's gonna side with Ultraviolet Zami, because Moose gives it up, but Raven's expect the unexpected.
Raven is he is the chaos master. Raven and Moose. First of all, the idea of Moose and Raven and both animal names, and he'd probably play that ridiculous shit up.
Clownery.
That's one. But two is just Raven being like, this is the guy. Look how big he is. Like, Raven would absolutely be great for Moose. The promos, whatever it is, it would just be fun. I want to see that.
It'd be a violent odd couple. Has Raven and Sami Callihan ever crossed paths before?
I want to say no, just because of the timing, but let's talk to me about what you expect from this match, and I'm going to look this up.
All right. I'm expecting me not to watch this match, because this match is going to be violent, and the last match wasn't that bad, but this one is like, hey, you know, we got cages. It's going to be fun. We got weapons. It's going to be fun. Clockwork Orange, Ultraviolence is going to be fun. I'm like, I don't know. I'm a very weak person. So this is me the whole match. I'm expecting blood and violence. I'm expecting Sami to win, TBH. But now that you said Raven joining Moose, I could see it. I could see it just for chaos. For nothing else but chaos.
They have not crossed paths. The closest I can get to you is Sami Callihan versus Aaron DeRaven. That's about as good as I can get you.
Okay, work.
No relation. But yeah, Raven and Sami Callihan having promos together, like against each other. That's it. And also Moose getting the win so that they can do one last match and do Lethal Lockdown. Let's go.
What is Lethal Lockdown?
It's the cage, baby. It's the cage, and you get all the weapons in the cage. Let's do it. Come on.
I thought this was the match with all the weapons in the cage.
Nah, you got to bring back everything. You got to do everything. Raven doesn't actually still wrestle. He's just appearing for the show. So for those who are thinking, like he'll be around, but he's not going to be wrestling. He's just going to be part of the match and there to, because it's his match. It was literally a match that he pitched to TNA Creative back in the early 2000s. This is his match. So they're bringing him in for this, and I'm very excited for that. Finally, for the Impact World Championship, Josh Alexander versus Joe Doering. Again, Joe Doering is a man of few words, but when he speaks, he might look like he's going to murder you. Looking forward to this match. They did it once on Impact. It was a fun match, ended in DQ. This time we got to finish it off. Josh retains. Joe Doering, new Impact World Champion. What are you thinking?
Josh retains. Screwy finish. I'm going with another screwy finish. Even if it's not a screwy finish, something is happening during that match. I don't think it's a straight up clean Haas match. I don't think that's happening. I think that if not Eric Young, definitely Diener. I think that it would be nice. It would be a nice change of pace. But if Alexander beats him clean, Violent by Design is in some trouble, girl. So I don't know how that works out.
All I'm going to say is this past weekend, for some reason, Eric Young won a world championship. It was the Greektown World Championship title, and then dropped it the next night. So all I'm saying is Violent by Design, they could be champions anytime. It doesn't matter how long it happens for. Could happen. I see in the chat someone saying Eric Young turning on Joe Doering. I don't think Violent by Design wants to do a breakup angle anytime soon, and I don't think that they are that stale yet. I'm still pretty into them. What do you think about Violent by Design at this point?
Nah, I don't think they break up yet. And even if Eric Young turns on Joe Doering, I see Diener and Doering kicking out Young. I see that before them kicking out Doering, because if memory serves me correctly, they were the Dieners before.
That was Jake something and Cody Diener.
Cousin Jake and Cody Diener.
That's right.
He kidnapped Cody Diener, and now Cody Diener has been mentally breaking. To me, subtly, you can see it in the way he's been delivering it. Every time they've been talking to him for like the past 3 weeks since he lost to Alexander, he's been like slowly cracking. It would make more sense if like, you failed me. You took me out of my comfort zone. And now it's been me and him for the past 3 weeks. And now you show up, and I see them kicking him out before they kick out Doering.
I'll add another thing to the VBD thing. I don't think people realize, and so I don't want people to misunderstand me when I say this. They are very similar in some ways to the New Day, in that these three guys kind of came up together. They in different times, but they've all known each other for a long time outside of Impact. They all are legitimately like a crew. Mm-hmm. They're just there from different times, but they're still a very like tight unit. And I don't think they want to break up. And that's where I'm getting them from. That's what I'm talking about, the New Day stuff. Because New Day has said a million times, we don't want to break up. They're peers and they're friends, and it's very similar in the Violent by Design world. Those guys know each other. They ride together. They know each other very well. They've come up together. So there's a connection there.
That makes more sense when you say it like that. Then I can see them getting even crazier. I can see them turn it up. Like what Honor No More is trying to do, they're actually gonna do. No one's having a match. I don't care. No one's having a match. I'm turning all the way up. I'm like the monkey in the zoo. I'm throwing stuff at you. I don't care.
With all that said, Josh Alexander, retaining the title. I don't see him dropping it. I see a good match. I don't see deep waters. I see this going maybe 10, 15 minutes. Although Doering told me he's been in deep waters and he can take on Josh Alexander. So who am I? Regardless, that's against all odds. That's tomorrow night. Impact Insiders. It's going to be on the YouTube channel. It's on Fight. It's on all the places you can find the Impact stuff. But you and I, we did it. That's going to be the card. That was the show tonight. A fun show. I think you were nailed on the head. 4 out of 5. Yeah, Cresta, what's going on? Where can the people find you on the internet?
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We love doing this with you. And you can follow me in particular at twitter.com/Cresta the Starr, CRESTA THEESTARR. In my bio, there's a link to my link tree where you can find me on Twitch at Cresta Starr, Instagram at Cresta Starr, and all of my links are in there. Joel, where can they find you?
Oh, I'm easy to find. I'm at Joel Pearl, JoelPearl. Check out Fightful Select this weekend, especially because all the Money in the Bank news is going to be dropping there. There's going to be a ton more going on. You got Alex's Sour Graps, the whole shebang. There's always Impact news dropping. There's AEW news dropping. There's everything you'll ever need. $5 a month. You can't go wrong. It's Fightful Select. What can I tell you? We'll be back tomorrow night for the Rampage and SmackDown post shows. Alex Pulowski and Kate Elizabeth are going to do a Sour Graps preview where they're going to break down Money in the Bank is what Money in the Blank. That may as well be what it is. And then Money in the Bank post show Saturday night. Denise Salcedo, Sean Ross Sapp, they're going to be live at Blue Wire Studio in Vegas together. First time ever doing it live. Broken Wheelchair knocks us off with the end of this, saying, I was at the show in Toronto on Saturday. It was my first indie show. Amazing show. I cannot put them over enough. Greektown Wrestling in Toronto. Not only were super cool with me, they got me some interviews that hopefully will see the light of day soon. I don't want to, I'm just going to leave it at that.
No spoilerino.
No spoilers, but we got some really good stuff. And the show was really good. You can catch Greektown Wrestling also on Fight TV. I'm not going to keep talking. Anyway, let's get out of here. Ladies, gentlemen, friends beyond the binary, everything's coming up this weekend. We'll see you then.